Hello guys, welcome back to the FSLabs A320 family series tutorial, and GSX is just about to drive through the aircraft. I'm not too sure if it did do that. Anyway, in the last video we just set up all of the aircraft ready for the flight plan and the performance, and we've just done a de-icing, and as you can see the tug has just connected up to the aircraft, ready for the pushback. So, we need to get this done as fast as possible, otherwise our anti-ice stuff will turn off, and I'm just trying to decide which pushback we want to go. I think I'm going to go nose right, so I can taxi out that way. Or do I want to go the other way, because I'm kind of, yeah, I'm going to go nose left, but yeah, nose left. Anyway, GSX will do its stuff. However, sometimes when you have the parking brake set and APU on, it should, that 2D display looks really odd. It should, if you go to the options, the next level controls, yeah. After time with the APU running and parking brake set, it will automatically disconnect the GPU and the ground shocks, so technically you never have to go into there. Anyway, I'm going to go nose left. We'll see how GSX does this. This might be a meme. Anyway, before we release the parking brakes, we want to make sure the beacon light is on, like so, and there isn't any other faults other than the faults from the generators from the engine, which we do expect. For our long taxi today, I'm going to operate a single engine taxi. What I'm going to do is release the parking brake first, because it's just angry. But I'm going to operate a single engine taxi, so for those who want to do that as well, maybe at Heathrow, or you're just expecting a really long taxi, you know how to do it. So, what you want to do is only start up engine number 1, and you'll get this other electric pump on for the yellow hydraulics, basically. Anyway, you want to start the timer, like so. This is your block time, basically from engine startup to engine shutdown. I'm going to go with norm and everything, because I don't want to listen to him right now. Anyway, so ignition is on. You can see the PSI and the ignition valves are in the green, which means you can start up the engine. So we're going to start up number 1. Typically you'll start, this will click properly. Typically you'll start up number 2 first. However, it will start at number 1 because we only want that one to run. Anyway, see our shadow there, lovely. So GSX hopefully is pushing us back nicely, and is that JetBlue? Yeah, it's JetBlue A320 or 21, I can't tell. But yeah, bye bye Ultra Traffic Live. Enjoy your flight. Beautiful that is. Cool. And there you go. Now our displays aren't all like bloomed out because of the dynamic lighting from that airport. And that's just a view show. Oh, what's that smoke? Oh, I think it's just the effect from the cold. Yeah, just a bit. Don't worry, the engine's fine. It's just cold. It's a cold engine start. Parking brake. We all set on.
Waiting your confirmation for good engine start.
What we're going to do is, well, this is a new GSX update, but we're just going to confirm it's good engine start. Even though we haven't actually. Well, actually, it's kind of started, but what we're going to do, hopefully everything's in the green. Don't worry, initially not everything will be in the green because the engine hasn't started properly, but you can see going through this whole line, everything's in the green, and it says available, which is nice, and this N2 is in the green, this percentage, not green, in a grey box. Now it isn't. Now it means it's all stable, and the EGT will start to slowly go down. Typically, once both engines have started up, you'll turn off this APU. However, we're not running dual engines right now, so we'll keep it on to give us the power we need. However, if you go to the hydraulic page, you can see only the green and the blue are on. That's powered by engine number 1, and we need yellow. To get the yellow pump on for the hydraulics, we'll just turn on the electric pump, like so. And now it's on, and the fault light should go off after a while, and now the yellow hydraulics are now running. So, we can turn off the hydraulic page like so, and we'll turn this ignition back to normal, so we'll just close the ignition valve for engine number 2, and you can see it's all gone orange again, which is what we like to see just for now. GSX is just doing its stuff to get out of here, and what we'll do is we'll get the taxi lights on and the turn-offs on, like so. Typically you don't turn on until they're gone because you don't want to blind them, but yeah, whatever. And probably before you get taxiing, you want to make sure that this is dash dash dot, or kind of before pushback, you kind of want to check this, but you want to make sure these are all dots at the end of these, not the VS, but this altitude, so you've got 3 dots, like so. That basically means your aircraft's also set up ready for the flight. If not, It could mean you got a discontinuity just after your departure, or if that's not, then you've done something wrong. Just check over my tutorial on the last video and to make sure you're doing everything right. And if it does, if you've done that correctly and it still shows it, then either FSLabs is broken or just comment down below. It's simple. Right, GSX is now gone, so what we can do is simply set the pedal disconnect. So now we have control of the front nose gear. You can see it's spinning there. And what we're going to do is release the park brake, like so. FSLabs does a very good job of doing single engine taxi. I think the 737 NGXU now does a good job with the new steering logic from PMDG, but I think some of the aircraft are a bit stupid on this. Anyway, for our taxi, we're just going to do the simple taxi. That's not really the tutorial. I guess you can figure that out on your own. I'm kind of going to the centre here, so it's going to do a bit of a longer, sharper turn. Just going to the centre taxiway here. And typically on the US, you'll set TCAS to T8RA on the ground. And then just going to get to it. But other airports, well, other areas or regions are set T8RA just before departure. But like I said, we're on the US, so we're in taxi now, so we'll set T8RA by switching this over to the right, and we'll set this to auto, the switch here, and everything else you can keep it standard. Or like I said, if you're online, you can set your TCAS score code to whatever the ATC have told you to set, basically. Anyway, for our taxi today, I need to go and actually get the chart so I know where I'm going. We need to go and find Golf. So I think Golf is this left, I'm pretty sure. And then we'll take a right, and we'll taxi down down Bravo, simply put it, all the way to... Actually, no, we'll taxi down Alpha. We'll taxi down Alpha. But yeah, this is basically for the heavy aircraft, but whatever. So yeah, now as you can tell, I've got the pedal disconnect on, and I'm steering my rudder pedals. I don't have a separate tiller for that, but yeah. But that's why is this taxi line like right next to the road? The ground vehicles can't taxi there. So there should be an Alpha turn right. Here we go. Yeah, Alpha on the right. So I'll take the first right we get, which is here, like so. This is 04 left, right ahead of us, but we can't really take off with this little amount of room. So full. I'm not too sure why. I think it might be an FSLabs glitch. You can see the front windscreen is got a blue tint, and this has no tint at all, which is very weird. Not too sure why. For turning, that's a weird looking MD-80 or 717. For your turning, I do recommend in the FSLabs to turn around between 5 to 10 knots. Anything higher, you could oversteer and do weird things, or even understeer and do weird things. So try and keep it slow around the corners, otherwise your steering will just go way off. Anyway, I guess we could say we're going to start up engine number 2 now in a straight taxiway. So to start up number 2, you want to make sure that your thrust is set to idle, but typically in the FSLabs, if you're doing a single engine taxi, you can just have the engine number 1 running a bit harder. There you go, you can hear it spooling up. We go up to speed here, and that'll stay on idle, so you can start up number 2, because when you want to start up the engine, you want to make sure it's on idle. Anyway, I'm trying to keep it straight at the same time, but with set ignition start, you can see the pressurization in the ignition valve is in the green, so we can go and start up engine number 2, and now the passengers will not be worried that engine number 2 isn't running. Anyway, let's continue taxi down here on Alpha, and we'll do a little transition to Kilo. So Alpha will continue down the right around the outside of the airport. Oh, we'll go to that in just a moment, but then we'll go cross over to Kilo. Don't make sure we don't want to taxi too fast. Anyway, then it'll ding, you hear it, and that goes to ATT. Just going to click on that, and we can't hear it because I've turned it off.
Hello, it's Norman.
There you go.
Let's cabin secure for takeoff.
Thank you, Norman.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. So yeah, that's a sick feature. I'll turn these back on again because I just didn't want to hear that weird, annoying announcement, safety briefing. Anyway, like I said, we'll continue down here, and this will take us into Kilo. As you can see, Kilo is in the black, so we're on Kilo. And we're going to have to cross the runway 31 left and 13 right. Hopefully. There is no aircraft doing some weird things around here. So, yep, it's all clear. Oh, look at the city. City skyline. In the background. Empire State Building and what other buildings that I don't know the name of. Anyway. I'm sorry. Right. We'll just cross this runway, continue on to Kilo, and all the way down to the end of 04 left. Very simple. You just heard that click? It was a kind of a very distinguishable click. That's just the generator switching over from APU to Gen 2, because we just started number 2. As you can tell, it's all running now, so we can turn the ignition back to normal, and we can turn off the APU, like so. And the electric pump can go off, which, there we go, is now off. Go to hydraulics page, and you can see everything's still running, which means it's good to do the flight control check and set the flaps. So, go to the flight controls, and we'll do full left. That's good. Full right. That's also good. All the way down, all the way up. Make sure everything is going to the full. Oh, wait, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Make sure your pedal disconnect is back to, let me just line up a bit better, back to where it was, to off position when you can actually read the rudder pedals. Right, rudder full right, rudder full left. Yes, that's also good. Yes, let's make sure, just make sure you put that back to how it was before you do anything stupid, otherwise the passengers just witnessed some G's. Right. Flaps 1, like so, simple. You just click the flap button down to whatever it is and do flaps 1, so set that. Ground spoilers will arm it to, or just arm it by right clicking it, so it comes up, so you've got the little grey marking down there. Just kind of make sure we're not, well, we are speeding, kind of, you could say. This isn't full length, so just go all the way, just all the way to the end. Yeah, when you have lots of traffic, you would like hold in here as well. So they know JFK's busy. Auto brake. You want to set that to maximum as well. It's like setting RTO in a Boeing, but just max. So if you have to do a rejected takeoff, then that will click in, like so. And now takeoff config is come up. We'll just go and hold at the hold short here. Kilo 1, I'm guessing it is. Just steer us around. Cool. So just hold here for a bit, and yeah, so on your taxi, it's probably when you're about to set flaps, it'll come up with the takeoff config, or checklist you could say. I'm going to click takeoff config here, just above, and it says engine 2 has a low oil temperature. That occurs when you're running the IAE engine, which is the skinny long ones, like this one here. Typically in the CFMs, the oil temp increases very fast, so you don't have to wait for it to take forever. What is it currently? It's currently at 45 degrees centigrade, or Celsius, what do I want to call it. While engine 1 is 85. Engine 1 has been running for longer, which is why it's got a higher temperature. I think it's around about 50 to 55 degrees centigrade that it likes you to take off. Anyway, we can wait for that. Set the parking brakes, I don't have to hold down the toe brakes, because the IAEs have got so much power, you just taxi, even though if you've got no brakes on, you just zoom around. There's another orange light, which is this predicted wind shear is off, so you want to turn that on. This is the predicted wind shear to auto. So now you've got predicted wind shear if you need. And also we're at the runway, so we can turn on the weather radar. You can either set a system 1 or system 2. To be honest with you, I have no idea what each system or all the differences. Maybe if one fails, then you've got the backup, right? And you just turn it on. And now you've got the wind shear, or predicted wind shear, and you've got weather radar on, and there's no bad weather around, so there's nothing that's come up. But if you do have bad weather, then it would show up. And that warning's just gone now. Or was it because I just clicked the clear? Let's go back to the engine page. Yeah, it's at 50 degrees, so it should be fine. I click takeoff config. It's in the normal, everything's in the green, and anything it doesn't check is your lights config. So we're just going to release the parking brake. We'll go into the runway now, and just make sure all the landing lights are on. So you want to take them to off and then to on, because these lights retract, so make sure you double click all the way. If you click around about the middle, it will do both. And you want to make sure this nose light is on takeoff, and you want to make sure your strobe is on. You can keep it on auto, but to make sure, I just keep it on. because you never know. That system could fail. As all. I really don't know what this lighting is to do with. Maybe it's to do with the cloud, or my sim's just broken. Anyway, let's go line up with the runway. Like so, if we can, roughly. That will do. And we'll set pilot disconnect to off. We'll hold the toe brake, so I'm just going to go through what our takeoff procedure is. So, as you roll up the throttles, we're doing toga today, but up to flex or toga, you'll start the chrono. This chrono is a timer just down here. Sometimes it can be pretty hard to read, as it is right now. You can turn down some of these brightnesses. Sometimes it makes it easier. That's done nothing. That's because I have the other knob on, but whatever. This will start the timer in hours and seconds. You click it again, that'll stop it, and then click it again, and that'll restart. So if you accidentally hit it, then you can restart it. Anyway, like I said, we'll put thrust about to 50%, which should be around the climb thrust position. And when we do that, we'll push the nose down like so with our, well, I use a yoke, but if you are an Airbus fanboy, then you might use a joystick or side stick, and you put it about halfway down, as you can see there on the PFD. And if you see, if I just move this around, you can see what I'm talking about. Put it halfway through the brown area. You hold that down there, and we'll be holding it to 100 knots. And then once we pass 100 knots, we'll center it up like so, and let the aircraft do its thing until we get to our V rotate speed, which will start pulling back, and pull it back all the way, and then slowly bring it back down. Or slowly bring it all the way, and then slowly bring it back down, depending on how much you need to rotate. So that's how we're going to depart. Let's get going. So let's get rid of the toe brake, and like I said, all we have to do is set my Alexa's going off. Anyway, we set the chrono 50%, and as like I said, we're going to toga, so we'll bring toga and bring that nose down just a tad, and there we go. We read out these sometimes, man, toga, SOS, runway, north plus blue, and you can see that this has all come up, and that's all good. So thrust is set, and airspeed's alive, and there's 80 knots, and there's 100 knots, and I'll put the central of the nose back, like so. Try and keep it in the center using the rudder. V1, and rotate. Like I said, slowly bring it back, and then we are on the 321, so don't want to hit the tail on the runway there, like so. And slowly bring the nose back again, and positive rate of climb, so you can bring the gear up. You can either click G, or click it in the sim, or click it in a custom button like I do, and it comes up like that. Make sure you're not pitching up too high, otherwise you will lose your speed and you will stall, which is not a good thing to do. And there we are in the air, nice and safely. With our departure, we are doing that straight right-hand turn, but just making sure we get to our 1500 feet engine out altitude before we do the turn, so let's make sure we get there first. Like so, and there's our right-hand turn, and severe ice detected. I did forget to turn on the anti-ice because I was... Wait, put the autopilot on. It's because I had the anti-ice fluid on, but I used the ice on, so I turned on the anti-ice system. So just get them all on, literally, like I say. And none of them have got faults, which is good. Sometimes you might get the wing fault, so just turn it off if you do, because it doesn't need it. Anyway, as you just saw, the PFD was moaning about setting thrust to climb, so just do what it says and set your thrust to climb. Make sure it is clicked in to make sure it does say thrust climb. It may say something else, then set it to something else. Flaps up, and then we can set ground spoilers to disarm. Like so. Just saw the little S up with the flaps back to 1 because we're getting to that overspeeds very close there. It had the little S. When you pass that S, you bring the flaps up. But as you saw, we're about to overspeed, so I just brought up anyway. Anyway, right, let's zoom out a bit on here. So yeah, if there is icing, we'll turn it on just before departure. But like I said, we do have the anti-ice stuff, so it shouldn't actually ice up anyway. But once we get in the air, all that stuff will just blow right off the airframe. So do need the anti-ice on. If you want to check if the anti-ice system or the icing detecting system breaks, you can just check this little needle. I don't know what it's called, but if there's ice on it, basically there's ice on your aircraft. If there's ice on that, but there's no ice on that. So I don't know if any of these actually de-ice this needle, but yeah, it doesn't have ice in it. So either the system's working or there isn't actually any ice. Anyway, like I said in the last video, we set this initial climb to 5,000. You may get to that altitude and hold there for a while with ATC. If not, they may tell you to go all the way up to the climb, up to cruise, sorry, or whatever altitudes there are. And as we said, our cruise altitude is 330, so we're going up to 330. And now we've reached this altitude, it's given us some weird things. If it's given this to you, just right click like this knob and it'll push it out, and that will set to open climb. You can just left click it, which will push the knob in, and that will set to normal climb. So if there are restrictions, it will follow the restrictions. If there aren't, then it will just do the exact same as open climb. But sometimes if ATC give you directions on where to climb, then I would just recommend setting that altitude and do open climb, because they say you can climb to that altitude and ignore restrictions. So like I said, ATC gives you the altitude to set open climb by right clicking and putting the knob out. So if you are offline like me, then it's fine setting normal climb. It'll be exactly the same if there aren't any restrictions. So I'll just leave it like that. Anyway, now we're in the air. We can turn off some of the lights. So we got the nose light, nose gears up, so all the lights on the nose can go off. So that's the runway turn-offs and the nose lights. And when we get to 10,000 feet, that's the standard altitude that you'll set your mainland lights to off and retracted in the Airbus in this case. So once we get to 10,000 feet, we'll set those to retracted, which will be in about 2,000 feet. So I was just going to skip the video until I get to 10,000 feet, so you don't have to wait for me. But then this just popped up on the upper ECAM and it says ice not detected. And there's no ice detected, and therefore we can turn off these anti-ices like so. So we'll just turn them off. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Right, about 800 feet until the 10,000 feet mark. Like I said, we'll turn off the landing lights by then, which I do typically do this all the time in my full flight videos. But beyond then, I skip the video. But today, we will not be skipping the video. So yeah, just about to hit that 10,000 feet mark. And like I said, these landing lights, make sure they all go off to retracted. Don't keep them on off, because that just adds extra drag, which you do not want. So now they're all off, and you pass 10,000 feet, which is past the FAA or CAA or whatever speed restriction it is at 250 knots. We are free to go to 330 knots. That is kind of weird. We're going to flight level 330 and we're speeding up to 330 knots. Very weird. Anyway. If you've got the TCAS on, which you should have set, you can see the other aircraft around the vicinity. You can see this aircraft's got a down arrow, so it's descending, so you know you have to ignore it if you're climbing. It's 1,000 feet below us. This is once again another flight level reading, so 1,100, 1,200, and 1,300 feet below us, which is behind us somewhere. Ah, look at the beautiful aircraft. A321. Anyway, in the US, United States of America, as always, the transition altitude is 18,000 feet. That's when you're going to set your QNH to standard pressure, which is a 1013 hectopascals. I'm not too sure. I think it's 2992 in inches. I've actually forgotten, but I think it's 1013 for sure in hectopascals. But you don't have to worry about setting it yourself. You just have to pull the standard button and it'll set to standard. But like I said, there's actually nothing until 18,000 feet for setting standard pressure, which is all the transition altitude. Your transition altitude might even be 6,000 feet, like so in the UK, which will set that before you're turning off your lights. So if you weren't sure, just check your charts. But if you are sure, then well, on your perf page before you take off, on your takeoff page, there was a transition altitude, like I think it was in this fourth row down. Transition altitude it gave you. Like I said, if you don't know, then just do it around about 18,000 feet if you're in the US, or 6,000 anywhere else, or just check the charts. Anyway, I'll skip the video until we get to flight level 180. Okay, welcome to flight level 175, 1,500 feet until we get to 18,000 feet. And setting standard pressure is as simple, I'd like to say as simple as 1, 2, 3, ABC, whatever the song is. But yeah, 180. It says pull to set standard, and if you remember, we pulled by right clicking, so we just right click this, right click that, and obviously the backup display. You actually don't right click this one. We can. No, you can't actually. You left click it. There you go. Set standard like that, and it's shot us back down like 600 feet. So wow, that's how much of a difference it was. Okay. Typically, I would set the seatbelts back to off, and let the passengers around about the cabin, and around about 20,000 feet. But because the weather's so lovely, we're in a straight line, and almost at 20,000 feet, I'm going to set the seatbelts to off, and let the cabin be free. So I'm going to set these displays, these range, to 160 and 320. I like to set this one to the maximum, and then this one to 1 notch down, which is just half of the maximum of 160 nautical miles of range. It's giving us all the airports. Like, there's so many airports here, but there's like none on the sea. It's just, well, that's kind of obvious. I mean, there would be one for Bermuda, but we're nowhere near that for now. Look at the clouds. This is like a massive layer of clouds. That's crazy, man. And the sunrise. Well, it's not sunrise. It's just the sun now, isn't it? You know, there's the sun right ahead of us. Trying to blind ourselves. If you don't want to blind yourself, then you can just I'll just click something. Click that instead of this. You can bring down the visor. There we go. So you don't blind yourself. Try and bring it back up. There we go. Oh, there, come on. How does this work? I don't even know. Click and hold? I don't know. Anyway, basically, from now on, you can just leave everything as is. You can quickly monitor your fuel, check how much fuel you got on board when you land. Why is it giving us sim brief 5 tons of fuel when we land? Whatever. Yeah, you can just double check everything, make sure everything's good and nothing's going wrong. And to get to the climb, you just leave it as is, like open climb or normal climb. It doesn't really matter until you get to your altitude. It just is as it is. If, let's say, you get a step climb, what I would recommend is setting your vertical speed to about 1,000, because sometimes you can step climb pretty fast to your next altitude. You can just do a normal climb like this. That's sometimes, I say, and if you end up being in a real flight, you don't recognise you stepping up 2,000 feet or 4,000 feet flying Speedbird. 747s, I think they step 4,000. Yeah, it's more realistic stepping at a slower rate, so about 1,000 feet a second, or a minute, or 500 feet a minute, in fact. But for now, just keep it as it is with the dot, or not the dot. To be a dot, or not to be a dot. Anyway, I'm going to skip the video until we get to the cruise, and I'll show you what you can do in the cruise and check everything, like I said, and how to check the fuel and check the time, everything you can do in the cruise until your descent. Hello, welcome to the cruise at flight level 330. We've been flying for 48 minutes and 30 seconds. We've been at the cruise for quite a while now, and what I'm going to do now is show you what you can do in the cruise other than sitting and waiting for the top of the descent to come into view here and just being very bored. So you can always just go and check over your fuel, make sure you're going to be arriving on time, and you're arriving on time with that time, and make sure you're just not going to arrive with less fuel than you kind of want. You can keep checking over that, but I wouldn't really do it all the time. It's not going to change drastically. You can get to the perf page, and if you want to find out when your top descent is, it gives you the time and distance here on this cruise page, which is kind of cool. And your progress page, this kind of gives you some information about what altitudes you should be flying at. So your cruising altitude, your optimum. So technically I should be cruising at 310 for my best flying performance with winds, and our actual maximum this aircraft can fly at its current weight is 346. As well, you may get some directs from ATC. They may say, JetBlue 787 direct to Vinso, and to do that, you just hit the DIR, for direct to, and just click the waypoint, Vinso, and you click insert. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that at all because I'm following the flight plan. But let's say you had a direct. That's what you would do to go straight towards that waypoint. If they also asked you after Mako, let's say, go to another waypoint in between a Mako and Meg, then you can just go onto a Mako, and the next waypoint you can just go into a random waypoint into there. Well, not random, hopefully not random, but the waypoint you want to go to after this waypoint. And then what it might do, I don't know if I'm going to have a charts up, see if I can find out. Any waypoints kind of between a Mako. Here we go. BALTN, Bolton. If I put it in there, you see it's entered it after a Mako, but then it's got a discontinuity. What you'll do is hit the clear button and then clear that off, and then it's reconnected again. But I'm going to undo that and erase because I don't want to do any of that. So yeah, that's how you do the directs. Anyway, other than that, like I said, it really is pretty boring, which is why I don't go in the cruise in my full flight videos. I'll just give you the beautiful cinematics like so. So that's it for now. I will see you on the next video, where we're going to do the arrival, descent, landing, and the parking up. Bye bye.